we were trying to.
Yeah.
I think what's written is أحبك جهارا. I think. Publicly. جهارا. But the funny thing is that there's an ayn, and there is no meme. You don't see a meme, but you see, I don't know. Is there any word that is shi'ara?
So let me tell you the story of Wafa and my discussion of this, right? So we were looking at these, and I was thinking, it's like, I really want to do one of these. It's a really good one to discuss. I've got a reading for this. We're going to get to that in a second. And I was thinking, it's like, no, this one is more interesting than that one, right? And then just 2 days ago, as we were here, so we spoke about that. And I had looked at this, and because I don't read Arabic, I kind of said, I'm not going to deal with it, because maybe I'm missing something, right? But then as we were talking, and then Wafa was trying to work out what was going there. And then as I was looking, it was like, oh, I get it now. All right, okay, I got it, right? And then I sort of understood, we're going to start with this, and then we're going to go there, okay? But you'll see how that kind of process of thinking, how my process of thinking sort of gets us to arrive at a particular point. So that's it. Okay. Basic description. Blind person.
Think of waves.
Okay, there are waves.
Yeah.
Although you remember what I said at the beginning for basic description? You start from the biggest part of the picture. Very graphic. And what you mean by graphic is?
Lines and writing.
Very specific.
And sharp edges. Right, sharp edges. Okay, all right, so I'm the blind person. All right, so it's got blind edges.
It's also rectangle, graphic size.
Yes, now, all right, so this is where I want to go. Say that again, say that again.
The size of a rectangle.
So the bigger rectangle is
The yellow.
the background. And then there's another rectangle inside. Okay.
It's like a poster.
Feels like a poster, absolutely.
Like a window.
And,
But we don't want to say window.
and in fact, I will tell you, can you tell that the paint that it's done with is not oil or acrylic?
It's cellulose.
It's enamel. It's like an enamel paint, which they use for kind of commercial things, right? So it's got a kind of hard, reflective kind of a look to it.
It's on wood,
Okay.
right?
Sorry?
On the metal.
I'm not sure. What is
It is on wood.
It's
Yeah,
wood.
it is
it's
on wood.
Yeah.
It's on wood, and it's kind of cellulose paint. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes me think of collage.
Yes, and it's got that element of collage because one thing is stuck on top of another one, right? Okay, but now,
The lower part for me is super remarkable.
but now, so this is where we need to think about this process of from the outside to the inside, right? Which is, in general, the inside is where the stuff happens. But in order to know that, you need to work out what's going on the outside, right? So before we look at inside this, let's look at the outside. So we've got a right here.
Two different treatments of the gradient. The yellow gradient is very smooth. It goes from like bright to pale, and then the lower bottom with the black gradient is like very. It's how do you say it? It's quite. It's not blended. Sharp.
Yeah.
It's
Okay, so hang on a second. The blind person is a bit confused. Okay, so when you take away this inner rectangle, take it away, what you're left with is a yellow thing, pretty much 3/4 of the thing up the way down, and it kind of gets a little bit lighter as it gets down to the 3/4 mark. And then at the bottom, underneath that, there are these lines going from, and they're monochromatic, right? Going from black progressively to gray. And they get smaller. The width gets smaller and smaller. Okay. So it gives you perspective. So you feel that. Yes. So it feels actually that these are kind of like steps in a sense, right? So it's like they're steps and they're kind of moving backwards in space.
It has the feeling of the map. I don't know if you noticed. It's like when you say.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
Not say steps as much as I would say it's sort of wants to be spherical.
Yes, it's sort of like a, yes, so it's kind of curved, but it's curved out of straight slats, straight edges, in a sense. Yeah, absolutely. Again, like collage, somebody's saying, okay? Now, and it really does have a horizon. So it looks like, if you look at just this section
it looks
here,
like horizontal instead
it looks like you're kind of like
vertical.
disappearing off into the horizon on this end over here, okay? And we've said that it's, so these monochromatic things in these rectangles, and the rectangles get progressively smaller and smaller. Okay. So there's space created here on the bottom, right? And then the smaller rectangle, where does that sit in relation to space?
In the back.
No, I think it lands on.
It actually does. It sort of lands on.
It's opposing the space.
It feels like it's hovering over it, not that it's standing over it.
But so where is it in space then?
It's not. It feels like just on top of the painting. It's not
It's farther.
Yeah, it's kind of ambiguous, isn't it? Right?
Kind of remind me like those postcards where you actually like leave a space to actually say dear mom or whatever.
Yeah, right.
It's like he forgot to say dear mom, like this is for you.
Well, yeah, maybe.
I could see something three-dimensional if I am
Yes.
to imagine it, by
Yes.
the way.
But it goes both
And
ways.
by the way, just for your information, this is the first time that I look into this painting.
Yes.
Really.
And
It was
just to
just
show you-
yesterday. We didn't have it in mind at all. And speaking about the artist, I'm not going to
Yeah.
say his name. It was like, this is the wow thing of that artist. And just looking at this now and you just moving from one description to another.
Just in description.
I can see the gray thing, the degradation of grays, black going like, if I were to create it in three-dimensional maquette, I would see that horizontal and the violet plane over there and another plane in front of it and the yellow maybe behind or in between. So now it's becoming three-dimensional for me.
Now it's coming. And I just want to say, and Wafa lives with this painting every
Yes.
day for months, years.
I've never seen it as such. For me, my mere concern was to read what's
Yes,
happening.
exactly, which is what everybody did in the beginning. Don't look at the painting, try and read the words. It's so funny, in all of my classes, in all of my lecturing, it's like the word I use most often is wait. I should have, there should be like a loudspeaker. It's a loudspeaker, and every 30 seconds it should say, wait, slow down, even without me saying it, because it's kind of like, but it's very difficult, I know. And I want you to do both, right? I want the one part of your brain to race ahead, which is where the work is being done, but I want another part of your brain to be saying, whoa, hold on, step by step, and then as you go step by step, so that eventually they kind of come together, hopefully, as I was saying, when all the juggling balls come down. But just to come back to this three-dimensionality, right? So if you're just looking at this section here, it looks like it's flat, right? It looks like it's sitting on top of it and everything's flat. But then it all begins to get like a little bit, even without looking at this, it begins to get a little bit vague, right? Because it does look, so you've definitely got this kind of perspectival recession over here. And then if you look at this section here, I am seeing it as kind of halfway back. But then there's another part where I can actually see it as, no, it's all just flat, right? So it's ambiguous. That's part of what this is about, right? Is the ambiguity of this thing. Yeah.
Can I ask, did he really to use a ruler or something?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Because it looks, okay.
Must take and straight.
Yeah.
Because
He puts layers of canvas.
It looks very, very, very linear. A graphic designer would do
Absolutely.
It's
It's very
this would
technically-
be a painter, that one a painter, but this would be.
No, absolutely. Yeah,
We'll get back
absolutely.
to the identity of the painter, and he was
no,
all
no,
of
no,
the
no.
above.
But for me, what counts again is not who the painter was, but
The painting itself.
How that graphic design edge makes it mean something. Is there for the meaning in a particular way. So now, hang on a second. Okay. Now let's come back to this. This square in the square, rectangle in the rectangle. Okay. So there's something that we have an idea of what it says, but we're not sure. Okay? That's my conclusion. That's why I made you stop. Right? All right, so now I want you to forget about that.
Oh, as if it was made on purpose, not to be
Wait a
understood.
second. No, stop, Wafa, stop.
Stop around shoot.
Stop, shoot. I like that, exactly. All right, so now we've got this, so you've got this sort of yellow to white. Okay. And then again, not looking, I just want you to look at what's the difference in meaning and what's the difference in mood between the yellow and this particular shade of purple.
Day and night. You can feel like it's a day and night kind of feeling.
Can you feel they're different things?
Day and night, yeah.
Right?
Contrast.
Day and night might
There's
be a
a
little bit
contrast.
strong, but yeah, go ahead.
I think his choice of choosing purple and yellow is very basic, because at the same time it doesn't refer to the same thing.
Yes, so that's right. It doesn't refer to the same thing, right? And it is kind of like, so now somebody else to expand this notion of day and night. Well, the day and night is a bit extreme, but
That's light and shadow, let's say, not
it feels that this is more,
personal.
yeah, a little bit more profound. Is that fair to say? Internal? Is that fair to say? Right? It's like, this is kind of like,
What's happening outside?
it's outside. So it is kind of day.
Private.
And it's kind of, this
Private.
is what's out there, and this is like inside. Right? Not a lot. Not a lot. You remember we're talking about small differences, not huge differences. Okay. But just from there. Okay. Now, let's get to this.
Very violent. Come on, this is not me seeing it. It's like using it like orange and gray. This is too violent. Usually when you put it all by itself in a painting, it will ruin your eyes because this is the only thing that you see. But he made two contrasts, and then he calmed the game like, from the bottom, just so we can see it as a...
No, wait, stop. Hang on a second, stop. So I just want to carry on with this. Sorry?
It's mood swing. Like,
In and out.
no, it's mood swinging. Like,
Yeah. So,
it's happy, not happy, and mood swing that anyone can go in sometimes.
Logical for a mood swing.
I'm not sure that it's a mood swing, but just forget about the colors for a second.
It's electric.
It's kind of electric.
It bothers the eye, like when someone's wearing radio on TV.
There's motion.
Yeah, exactly.
There's kinetic, there's something kinetic
There's
about
some
it.
movement in it,
Motion.
right? And quite a lot of motion, right?
And in contrast with...
Hang on a second.
You feel that the lines are cut. He didn't finish the lines, the green ones and the orange one. Yet he decided to shift the movement from going to the left side.
He doesn't want his feeling to go outside this circle.
I want you to. I need you to stop thinking about feeling for a second. Okay. I just want to talk about the technicality of the shapes, right? No. Hang on a second.
Curvilinear.
Right. Yeah, they're curvilinear. There's a lot of motion and a lot of energy and movement in it. Right. Okay.
It's more organic, less controlled.
It's very
more organic.
It's more organic. It's not really organic, but it's more organic than.
But there's still too deep.
Which is where?
The lines underneath, outside.
Outside, right? Can you see? Right? So there's the outside
That's an inside.
and there's an inside.
Okay.
And the outside is
More vertical and horizontal.
straight. But even without three-dimensional, what I'm getting at is the way that three-dimensionality is shown is like it's all orthogonal, and what's the clinical
Column, there's nothing, like it's...
not necessarily
Controlled.
controlled, Cartesian, and most of all
Cerebral?
rational.
Very rational.
Rational, right?
It's geometric movement. He had to be he's working at the time when art.
No. You're not allowed to. No.
You see it. It's geometric on the it's geometric art.
Yeah, but that's.
Yeah, but there's something different between the internal and the external.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
not, but he's creating a new language where he's using the geometric forms to create something graphic but yet very expressive.
Hold on a second. Wait, we're still going step by step. Wait a second. Okay, right. So you've got the outside where there's this real kind of rationality, and the rationality isn't only in the straight lines, it's in the colors. This really is like a graphic designer's chart, right? Where you go from the dark, how do you get from black to white? You go through all these stages of gray, right? But it's all in this really hyper-controlled way, right? So what you have now is this distinction between the outside and the inside. And the outside is this kind of bright yellow, rational, but the inside is this more moody sense that you have just with the color, and then in this, just like you were saying, just like on television when you can't...
Turbulent.
Where you can't, but it's not quite turbulent,
yeah,
right? But you can't quite focus on it precisely because of these differing tones and colors. And it's kind of like, woo, woo, woo. In fact, this used to be called op art. As in optical art, right? In the sense of this optical sense of these kind of like this stuff moving around.
How was the paint applied on this?
Don't take this the wrong way. As I said this, I don't care. Right?
That's true, but it's...
But do you see why I'm saying I don't care?
Yeah, no.
Because all that matters is the visual effect, right? I'm sure it was done with kind of graphic design elements, right? It's done with tape and with straight lines.
Tape is fine,
yeah.
But even the orange and the gray coming down.
Hang on one second, because I haven't finished yet, right? And then, so now we've got this kind of outside hyper-rational, hyper-controlled. We've got this inside, which is this kind of, and that's what this is doing, is this kind of emotional intensity, right? And the point is, emotions are wavy things. They don't run in straight lines, in neat grades, right? And then we've got this text.
Something literal.
Right? Of which you can work out. And you see, and I was listening as we did this yesterday, and you worked out, of which it says al-hob.
Yeah.
It's something about love. It's beautiful, this, right? We don't know. But what he's also saying is, we don't know, but
We know a little bit.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't
But
matter.
there's some kind of a signal.
But hang on a second. The reason that it's cut
Yeah.
is so that you,
It's
it doesn't
okay if
matter.
you don't know.
It's okay if you don't know, because that's what love is. Right? Love is this kind of like, it's sort of love, but we're not quite sure what all the rest is, but that's okay. Because we're in the sphere of love. And that's what he's saying.
It's almost as he had it written all over it, or uncovered some of it, almost wants to belong to the other.
To the other thing, well said. Beautifully said. Perfectly said. It's no accident. So this, when we were talking, and when you were kind of like, it was like, oh, suddenly it all began. I didn't know what it
made
meant
sense.
3 days ago. Right? It's just as we were talking that it suddenly clicked, and it was like, oh, the inside, the outside, it's not there, it's here. And it's no accident that it's here, because this is not the rational part of your mind. Right? This is not me saying this, right? This is him saying, this is the artist. It's what the image itself is saying. Right? So you've got this, and I'm not saying this is a profound, deep work, but it's really quite
Rico,
a beautiful one.
Could we
right?
relate this investigative, let's say, urge to understand what the written words? I mean, we speak Arabic, we read Arabic, most of us. If I were Chinese, this would, for me, it would be only formal.
Yes.
But I mean, could we mix this urge to understand, give meaning to those calligraphic, let's say, forms? It has some kind of something in parallel with inviting us to make meaning of the forms themselves.
Yes, and so in fact,
both are speaking about abstraction. We're having letters that we're familiar with, and still they make no sense.
Or they make some sense.
Somehow.
That's an important point. It's not they don't make any sense. They make some sense, right?
And at the same time, you have forms.
And you have forms
that are just calling for us to make sense of.
And so, in fact, you got to say this is very beautiful, but it's not necessary. You remember I said to you, what are the words?
Yeah.
Before you told me the words, I already knew what it was about. without knowing the words, right? Because I had read the painting, and then it didn't surprise me when it comes out to be about love. That's nice. That adds another layer on top
I
of it.
found a connection between the two, but I'm not sure what you guys think.
Go ahead.
Without the writing, I would have imagined it's a window, and the second composition, it's also a 3D world. But when there's something written, it feels like it's a 2D poster that we're seeing.
Yes, and I think that's part of it. I agree. It kind
I
of
would
sets
still
it.
see it as a three-dimensional
But yes.
thing happening, even with the words. I think the words gives it some level of aesthetic.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's playful. This is his
Yeah.
personality showing now.
I
He's
agree with
playful.
Like
let me add-
without the calligraphy, I think it
So,
would have
but
looked
one of the things about
plain.
art, I just want to say this almost always, especially for good art, the question is not either or, it's both and, right? And so it's, it's both three-dimensional and two-dimensional. That's part of what makes it good art, is that way of kind of doing it, weaving them together, not in a stupid way, right? But in a really kind of interesting way.
I don't know his nationality or his name.
Not important, not important.
I know, but maybe he wanted, it depends from where he comes. Maybe he wanted, because أحبك, the love part, is obvious for everyone. The other part is not
Yes.
obvious.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
maybe he wanted to spotlight the love
specific
part
area.
compared to his nationality or his society or anything.
I don't know, maybe. But the point is exactly right. The one thing you all got, you got al-hub. You got the love.
Yeah,
That's all.
because in some
That's all you need to.
society- Because in some society, the love
Yeah.
is not like something. It is a taboo. It was a taboo. I'm just assuming because I don't know when it was made or from where he comes.
Good.
But maybe it's related to.
Yeah, it might be. But I just want to add, the image is very specific in what it's telling you, and all the rest is kind of like, yeah, maybe. It doesn't change the meaning of the image.
I want to ask you, why did he even chop? Not even chop the word.
Because if he didn't chop it, it would be too clear. It's just, he needs to give you just a little bit to tell you it's about love. So if you look at this, it's like there's a big difference between the inside and the outside. But if you look at this,
As if it's floating.
there is a difference, but in fact, some of you already noticed. Look, you see the gray matches up. The yellow matches up. So it's kind of like the inside and the outside there's some overlap. They're interrelated in some ways, right? It's quite beautifully done, this, you have to say. It really is nicely, and you can feel the kind of various layers operating over here. Okay. Sure. Interesting, right? Okay, now. Same artist.
Yeah, I think you can move.
So you can see how fundamental this core question from when you're starting is, right? Which is basic description. Start as though you're describing it to a blind person. Like everything depends on that, right? So what do we have? And remember, work from the outside in, right? Not where your eye wants to go, but you have to force your eye outside. So what do we have?
There are almost three distinctive layers.
3 layers, 3 zones inside the painting. Okay. It's sort of like that's one zone, that's another zone, and that's another zone. So there are 3. Good. That's not a horizontal zone. Eh? And actually, again, I will ask you, imagine that's not there, right? So that we can work out what's going on, you have to take out various parts to try and work out how the thing is kind of put in place. Danya, what did you say?
A window.
It looks like a window, doesn't it? It kind of feels like a window.
It does.
Right. In which case,
It's
what?
like these are people.
Yeah, they're people.
Demonstrating or watching something.
Spectacle.
Yeah, it's some kind of spectacle, right? So it may be a window, we'll come back to this in a second, but it feels like these are sort of heads, people's heads, maybe in a theater or an art gallery or something like that.
It's like the wall that separates the people from what is.
On the other side, us who are looking. So it's pretty clear, and we all agree that these look like people's heads. They're looking at something, we're not quite sure yet, but we will in just a second. And then there's something else happening.
It looks like mountains.
over here.
I say it's what I am seeing is the, let's say, the society.
Now, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you because you're interpreting. You're jumping ahead and we haven't quite finished yet. Okay.
There's something about the direction where when everyone's keeps saying they're people or they're beings or figurines, whatever, going into that direction, I tend to see them looking inwards.
Hang on a second. Maybe.
Directing inwards.
Maybe that's maybe another step too far, just for the moment. Okay.
From the elements that we see in the lower part of the painting, they speak to elements that are in the upper part, but interestingly only on one side and not on the other.
Well, hang on a second, because this is where I want to go, but hold on a second. Now I want you to think, what's the distinctive thing about this shape? It's slightly tilted, but its basic shape is it's square.
It's a square.
And all the lines are straight. It's vertical.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So
not
we
precise.
not precise. Absolutely. So we've got this zone here of straight geometric forms. Okay. We've got this zone over here of round forms. Right?
More or less.
And then over here,
Linear. Geometric to squarish, but linear.
Rectangular.
but diagonal. Right? It's as simple as this. I mean, it's more complicated than this, but this is the fundamental building blocks, right? Which is, there's one thing that you sort of feel maybe people are looking at or not looking at, we're not quite sure. But there's one world, because as our friend said, every painting is a universe. There's one world that's segmented, rectangular, linear. There's another world of people, organic, right? And then there's another world which is rectangular but, which means it's...
Outsiders.
Sorry?
It's an outsider.
It's an outsider, right? Sorry, you were gonna
Why
say?
does
I was
it
going to
mean
say
it's
all
outsider?
times. I don't understand.
Yeah, well, yes, well, hold on. You jumped ahead. You're jumping ahead. Right, but.
I mean, I don't understand how it's formed, but that's...
Yes.
I understand how you're saying it's a jumping ahead because of the change of material and it's very industrial. But if we're just talking about form,
Yes.
tilting it does not make it a form, it makes it like it's tipping over.
Well, hold on a second. Tilting, so,
I would see change in that.
yeah, something is not the same.
Yeah, I would see change in both
That's it.
materiality and form.
That's exactly right. So this like nobody's got any problems with this, right? This is like the rectangular universe. Nobody said anything about it.
Imaginary and the real, like somehow this is the actual, the fragments of the actual outside world, and there's somewhere else.
Yeah, well, maybe, and again, jumping ahead just a little bit, but still.
What I like is actually the line or the vertical line over there, the way he drew it, he painted, it's actually the same thing that he did the
Yeah.
It's like creating a relation with
The texture.
the texture, exactly. Even though
It has a feeling of textile over.
yeah.
Oh, hang on a second, just hang on one second, hang on. So,
Rico, I'm not sure if I missed the fact that are we seeing are we
Yes.
seeing space? We did see
yes,
space?
yes,
We did?
more or
Okay,
less,
cool.
because it looks like this is like a window, or it could be a painting,
Could be.
something like that. And then it feels like these are people.
I can feel a crowd.
Yeah, a crowd.
You arrived to this.
Right.
Yeah.
So in fact, this painting is if we take half of the painting away, it's not problematic. But if we take this away and we take this away, it's kind of like people are looking at a theater or a painting.
Yeah, it's
Whatever
a
they're
crowd.
looking at is square. Square. I'm old, but I don't know if anybody remembers in the 1960s, square meant if you called somebody square, they were
Rigid.
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 So square, not like cool and
Now
groovy.
the journalist can come in.
Square is the opposite of like groovy and, you know, that kind of thing, right? So it's a square universe, which is sort of the universe that we live in.
Yeah, the reality of their life.
Hang on a second. Hang on. Hang on a second. Okay. So now we got the people who are not really, not up for grabs in a sense. We sort of know what's going on with them, right? But so what does it mean? This is what I'm getting at. What does it mean? Even forgetting about all the other textures and that, just what does it mean in this universe of rectangular, horizontal?
It's kind of a change.
It's a change of some sort.
Yeah.
Something is not the same.
Requesting change.
Something else.
Something, yeah.
Right? So does that make sense? Is that what?
It makes sense to me.
It's different.
Exactly. It's a call for change. And
Wait.
Okay.
Wafa, don't jump. Wait, we're getting there. Wait. Hang on a second. So I just want to get at this basic level, right? It's so funny because it's so difficult to keep people. It's like you're leaping. It's like one, and off goes that, which is brilliant.
Wait.
And we're going to get there, but we still need to stay on this basic level, right? So one universe, people, and then another universe that's sort of the same, but different, right? So that's what made you say outsider. That's what made her say outsider, right? In that sense, it's like, it's not quite the same.
So there's 3 universes?
No, actually, I think it's a process.
No, wait. That's not what the painting is saying. The painting is saying there are 2 universes.
Okay.
Right? Because in a sense, you get the feeling that this is one universe, right?
They're looking at the third one.
Well, but this is one world. This world is like people in their regular rectangular world, and then there's this is not here, right? We're thinking that away, and then there's this, which in what ways is it similar to that one?
I think it's one word.
No, wait, wait.
The motif,
I just want you.
the linearity.
Yeah, the lines, the
It's
colors
similar
are
in
the same.
linearity,
It's
yeah.
linear, but the linear is
Tilted.
So it's not. It's the same, but it's not. And now we put back in this with the lesson we learned from that. What is it?
Motion.
Emotional state. Like the
Inner. He's telling you, inner love. It's like emotion, right? It's like a movement, but it's not just any movement.
I see it more of a call. The fact that we're seeing a crowd, and the fact we've spoken about this change between the back and the below part, the foreground.
Yeah.
I see it some kind of a call for change.
I'm not saying no.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no.
Rather than something.
But let me try another thing. Hang on one. So there's a group of people. Leave this out for a moment. There's a group of people, and they're looking at the world, which is the straight life. And then suddenly
There's a light.
there's love. Right? This is energy, but in a good sense, right? In this kind of emotional sense. Hang on a second.
It feels like music.
Hang on.
I mean,
Yes.
It might be naive, but it feels a little bit like the emotion I felt during the Lebanese Revolution.
That's what I'm trying to
So
get. That's what I'm trying to
You're
get.
saying there's a call, there's a crowd that's that is protesting or something.
It looks like a consensus.
Yeah, a rainbow. Yeah.
The rainbow, that it's an awakening call for this crowd to change reality and their situation.
Can I pinpoint? No, I need to pinpoint to something which is not interpretive. It's just no. It's
Okay, I'll let you do it this time.
Just
Yeah.
the fact that the colors in the middle, those wavy lines, they look so vibrant.
Right.
At the time where the background is grayish and black, and I see those people as if they're a mix between those colors and the ones before. They're
Yes.
toned down. They're like
Although,
in color,
but
they're toned
I think
down.
in a sense, so this is exactly the conversation to be having. But in a sense, it's almost as though this is pretty much monochromatic, right? It's the world of ordinary, relatively dull emotions. There's occasional emotions, but really most of it's black and gray, dull. But it also seems to be saying, I love this in the sense it's so beautifully optimistic in the sense that, and even so, even in this world, people just get together and love is born, right? Whether it comes down, whether it goes up, whatever it is, love is there.
Like when it came down, it made more colors.
It made the colors, yes, I nicely said, I like that. It's almost as though it brought color to them, it brought their color into the world, exactly. So you can see how I got there from here, right? It's this notion of some kind of like intense emotion.
Actually, this happened with both those and those too.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we say something about the
Yes.
diagonals?
Yes.
I don't wanna.
No, but actually we do need to talk about that. Yeah.
I was wondering, irrespective of the, I know diagonal, rectangular, similar, but they also themselves could look like crowds, like another crowd.
On the line.
Like, because there's multiple of them, right? The first
Yeah.
ones that I had, they look like several ranges of mountains.
Yes, well, let me put it this way. I think that it is a lot of. Whatever it is, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it. Okay. Now, hang on a second, because, so now you have a look at this closely and tell me. So this is paint. What's this made out of? It's not quite industrial. It's not felt. It's sacking. It's what you get, sacks of flour and sacks of jute.
Even the sacks of like industrial sacks for
Yeah. Although, but it's generally associated with a kind of like agricultural. It's agricultural products. It's not like high-tech aluminium. And you can see the writing. Something Hamid. So now this is all very slick. Very clean. Even it's got beautiful love, kind of erupting all over the place, emerging, right? But that's made out of, I don't want to say,
more of the
people of the land, right?
The popular culture.
It's popular culture, right? So it comes from a different world, it comes from a different universe. This is, let's call this modernity. Right? This is modernity, this is how we live, right? And we dress in a particular way and we live in rectangular worlds. But what I like about this is, so there are these layers here, right? Which is, it's almost as though he's saying, yeah, we live in this rectangular world, but still we love, right? But then there's this other group of people who live in this more artisanal, I think is the word, right? It's a kind of an artisanal world that's coming. Now, what's interesting about this, so now Wafa gets to say what she wants to say.
I think it's I haven't analyzed this ever.
No, but what did you want to say about?
I wanted to say that there's a call for a change. It's kind of a movement, like.
But, so now let me ask you, who are these people?
They're the common people.
The common people, the industrial, the people.
Who live
the everyday life.
On the land.
The popular
who are
culture,
not,
yeah.
who are, if I can put it this way, not yet industrialized in a box, westernized, westernized.
Yeah.
So
they're the nationalists. They're the locals.
They're the locals.
Yeah.
And isn't this what you wanted to say?
Yeah. They're the real ones. I mean.
They're the.
not the shara, you know.
Henne, not the shara. They're the real ones.
And so now, if you put this into and it's rare that I do this, but the painting is doing this for you. If you put this into a political context in this part of the world, in the Arab world, in the 1960s, even without the 1960s, right? What the artist is saying is...
We all started this way and then we... Beware we change more or less, no?
I think what he's saying is, don't leave these people behind.
Actually, as you were speaking, and I didn't want to do this intervention, he was so close to the popular culture. He was so close to,
So this is what I'm
poor
saying.
people.
That's what I'm saying.
Super. And I mean,
Well,
I'm sorry I'm giving this information, which is...
No, but
we
that's
should
okay,
not
because we spoke about
so
this.
that we know. But his studio was even amongst the popular culture. Even people, when they used to visit him, they would think that he was some kind of I don't know, like no, not at all. On the contrary.
That he was one of them.
لا
Yeah.
كأنه شيء
شعبية.
ironmongery.
Yeah, right.
They didn't even understand that this is a painter studio. They thought that there was some kind of a worker.
Yeah, he was just one of them.
He was one of them.
In a sense, right?
Yes, he was
So,
one of them.
so I think what you can see inside this, now I told you Wafa, because Wafa kept on saying, I want to say that about him, and I was saying, you'll see the time will be right. When we get to that point in the painting, there'll be the time to say that, right? You can see this inside the image over here, where he's saying, he really is talking about the difference between kind of Western and Eastern, in a sense, right? And the problem of modernity. Like what happens in modernity, right? And this kind of is encapsulated right over here, which is modernity brings with it all of these things. But what I do like about this, right? People who are usually on the side of the common people are usually anti-modernity, right? Oh, we hate modernity, it's ruined us, it's ruined our culture, colonialists, we don't like them. He's kind of saying, it's like, even in that world,
they're proposing a new modernity, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're
it's as though he's
proposing
saying,
a new modernity that does
here.
not rid away the common people.
Exactly, exactly. So, but he's also saying it's an issue. It's not like, oh, it's resolved. Yeah. It's like these are the layers that are involved over here.
Yeah. It's like a representation of the society, if you want to think about it.
Yes, exactly. And it's a kind of, it's a representation and a kind of sort of moralistic, but in the good sense of kind of like, let's be inclusive about this. Like, let's put everybody together in this. Let's talk about everybody. But then what makes it sophisticated as good art is that it layers it in a subtle way. It doesn't say good, bad. It says like, it's all good, it's all bad, it's all, let's think about how it goes together, right? That's what this is about, right? It's a good piece. Isn't it?
It's an amazing one.
So isn't that so? And Wafa, we were talking about this.
It's an amazing one. And actually, I'll add one more thing, and I'll leave all our audience to go and dig more into that. Shall we say the name? Yes.
Yes, yes.
Malihi, and his contemporaries. He died, by the way, only like a year.
Just a year or two ago.
2 years ago. Yeah. All of his contemporaries, they even invited the popular culture to. They showcased their work in the public. I mean, in Jamaat al-Fana in Casablanca. I mean, they even made it accessible to people who are passing by. People
absolutely.
would pass by and tell them
so
that
instead of putting it in museums, right? Instead of locking it away in a museum.
And humidity, but they never cared because they said that the bourgeoisie can visit museums and the bourgeoisie can go and visit galleries. I mean, but the popular, the popular people and the local ones don't have this access to
and they would never go.
They
would never go.
Institutions.
But now, can I say? This, to me, this discussion is proof of what I've been trying to get at all the way along, right? Which is, we got there just by looking at the painting. Yes. See what you can do if you just look at, if it's a good painting, and if you are a good reader and you take the time to look at it. You get there, all the rest is, that's great, now we know about him, but it wasn't necessary because it's in there, right? I mean, it adds all those other layers and it becomes a different kind of sociological issue, which is great. But it's all there, right? So on that note, thank you very much.
Thank you.
What an amazing session.
Thank you so much.
It's been fantastic. Thank you. That's great.
In the coming, not this Thursday, the one after, coming 2 weeks, we'll have the second session. So everything will be kept as such. Whoever would like to pass by to see the other works, we have a print